The sun had not yet risen the morning Haadiya Zen left Dubai, but even before dawn's first whisper, the city felt different, emptier, quieter, as if its heartbeat had slowed. Sheikh Hamdan stood by the window of his chamber, the skyline veiled in a soft grey mist. The falcons that once soared with grace seemed hesitant to take flight, as though they, too, understood that something sacred had slipped away. The silence of the palace was not peace, it was grief disguised in stillness. He watched the horizon as if her figure might appear one last time, but she was already gone, carried by the wind that once played with her laughter. Her name lingered in his thoughts like an unspoken prayer, a secret the heart could never unlearn. Every poem he had ever written now felt incomplete without her presence between the lines. Even the verses he hadn't shared with the world trembled in his chest, aching to reach her across the distance. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly, its golden heart echoing the ache within him. It had seen his pride, his victories, his silence, but now, it bore witness to his vulnerability. The dunes seemed to lean closer, whispering the sorrow that his royal lips could not voice. Each grain of sand felt like a memory, a reminder of the footsteps they once left behind together. The desert was no longer just land, it was the keeper of his hidden emotions. He tried to convince himself that she had only left the city, not his soul. But every corner of Dubai reminded him of her. The scent of jasmine in the courtyards, the shimmer of moonlight over the marina, the laughter of children running through the palace gardens. Every little thing became a messenger of what he had lost. And though the world still called him Fazza, the poet prince, the fearless rider, he felt stripped of something the crown could not replace. There were moments in the quiet nights when he returned to the places they once walked, leaving no guards behind, no entourage. Just him and the moon. He would trace the air where she once stood, whispering verses to the wind, hoping it would carry his words to wherever she might be. It was not love he feared losing, it was the feeling of being understood without having to explain. He had written countless lines about strength and destiny, yet none had prepared him for this kind of silence. The kind that echoes louder than any scream. His journals, once filled with passion and purpose, now bled sorrow between the pages. The ink smudged under the weight of emotions too deep to contain. And somewhere in the middle of a half-finished poem, her name appeared, unplanned, unstoppable, unforgettable. Even the horses sensed his sorrow. They stood restless, stamping against the golden dust as if asking where she had gone. He would run his hand over their manes, speaking softly, "She'll return when the stars forgive the sun for setting." But even he knew it was a lie crafted for his own comfort. There was something permanent about her absence, something too vast to mend with hope alone. Nights turned into months, yet he never allowed anyone to see the storm he carried within. To the world, Sheikh Hamdan remained composed, the embodiment of calm leadership and poetic grace. But behind closed doors, his eyes told another story, of a man who lost not just love, but the rhythm that made his heart alive. The poets of old might call it tragedy. He called it destiny's cruel poetry. Haadiya had not taken anything from him, yet she had left him with everything that hurt. Her silence spoke louder than any farewell. It was not the goodbye that broke him, it was the thought that she might never know how deeply he had loved her. The words he didn't say became his heaviest crown, the poems he never sent his most haunting regret. And so, he began to write again, but this time his words were not for the world. They were for her, the unseen listener. He wrote to the desert, to the stars, to the night sky that once watched them together. Each line became a confession, each rhyme a tear the sand would later absorb. The desert, in its timeless wisdom, became his confidant, echoing his pain through the whispers of the wind. One evening, he returned to the dunes where they first met. The sky burned in shades of gold and sorrow.
The following morning carried a strange stillness, the kind that hums between heartbreak and hope. Sheikh Hamdan walked through the palace corridors, each echo of his footsteps reminding him of her laughter that once filled the same halls. The scent of wood and rose still lingered in the air, clinging to memories that refused to fade. Every glance at the golden walls reminded him that even the most magnificent palaces could not protect a heart from longing. His world had not lost its beauty, it had simply lost its meaning. In moments of solitude, he began to speak to the sky as though it were her. "Do you still dream beneath the same moon?" he would whisper. The sky, silent yet infinite, seemed to listen. Sometimes, he imagined she answered through the movement of the clouds or the rhythm of the waves along Jumeirah's shore. That fragile illusion kept him breathing, for it was easier to believe she still heard him than to face the weight of her absence. The poet in him turned his grief into prayer, his pain into verse, his tears into ink that no eye but his would ever see. He often rode deep into the desert at twilight, far from the city's lights, where the wind could strip him of titles and expectations. Out there, he was not a prince, he was a man undone by love. The silence was vast enough to contain his confession, and he would speak her name aloud just to feel how it trembled in the air. "Haadiya," he would murmur, as the horizon swallowed his voice. And though no answer came, the dunes shifted softly, as if the desert itself wept with him. The falcons perched on the ridges watched in reverence, their wings spread as if shielding his secret sorrow from the world. Seasons changed, and yet the ache remained as loyal as his shadow. He found pieces of her in the smallest things, the silver thread of dawn stretching over the Burj Khalifa, the scent of rain over the desert sand, the shimmer of lanterns reflecting on the water during Eid. Even poetry, once his escape, became a mirror too painful to face. His verses no longer celebrated beauty, they searched for it, tried to resurrect it, begged it to return in the shape of her memory. The pen trembled between his fingers, as if even it knew her absence had stolen its purpose. One evening, while reading an old poem she had once loved, he realized something profound: she had never truly left. She lived in every heartbeat that refused to give up, in every breath that carried her name unspoken. Love, he understood then, was not meant to be possessed.